practice is over, it won't let me.
Michael, you're not on Whisper, and you just came over the broadcast. It's muted right now. Make sure your Whisper's working.
I apologize.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of the fourth race of the 63rd season of the Talladega Challenge Series, as here tonight, our second trip to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. This is the midway portion of the regular season. Things are starting to get tight around that cut line of the top 12 in the overall standings, and we've had 3 different drivers go to victory lane so far. Will we have a fourth one here tonight? I'm Seth Cole, alongside of Michael Norman. And Michael, drivers got to now start to be feeling the pressure, especially those drivers that are way down there in the point stands, haven't had the benefit of 3 really good races to start this thing off. I mean, where are we looking right now if you're one of those drivers mired down somewhere between, say, 20th to 30th in the standings? Are you looking at this as a must-win? Do you still feel there's enough races to consistently point your way up into the top 12? Where would you be sitting at this point mentally?
Mentally, I'm a chicken. No, but mentally right now, if you're down in the point standing, Seth, you know that it's about time to win and you're in, basically. So you've got to get yourself positioned in the points. So I mean, I would take it careful, because every spot counts. Good or bad. So I would take it easy, but you want to try to just position yourself to be able to make the right moves at the right time. Also, want to officially apologize for not being on Whisper when we first started this broadcast. So that's a great way to start a broadcast for somebody who is not feeling well but still here.
It's also a great way to let everybody know that you're here, though.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody might have been tuning in wondering, is Michael going to be here tonight? Well, they knew right away.
Yep, absolutely. But Seth, I believe there is some things that you say before we start this race.
So we will be doing our best here tonight, folks, to keep this broadcast as light as possible, but unfortunately, this past week, we ended up receiving some devastating news. Many will remember over a month ago, we ended up having a member of the Rolling Thunder Gaming community, Robbie Nisus, tragically pass away, and this past Tuesday, a lot of people shocked when we saw the post on the RTG Facebook group. We knew he was dealing with a lot of health issues, had not seen him on the racetrack very often late last season into the beginning of this season, but Tuesday afternoon we received word that Ron Wiley Coate passed away at the age of 71. Wiley was a longtime racer. He was actually an admin of this series along with Josh Metallic and Tim Nofsker. We shouted him out in a lot of the broadcasts where he wasn't out on the racetrack, but unfortunately we ended up hearing of his passing. And we're going to be having a lot of tribute for him here tonight. Wiley Coate was known for driving the number 6 originally, ended up actually getting an Aero 88 victory back in the RTR Aero 88 series at Pocono, and then transitioned over to the number 5 that we saw him run for a number of seasons here. So we will be in his honor having a silent lap 5 and lap 6. And of course, as well, you saw going on to pit road the tribute scheme there based off of the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes car that Wiley drove for the couple of seasons that we've had this Aero 88 mod during the course of the Talladega Challenge Series. That will be pacing the field tonight under cautions. Green flag is in the air. Joe DeSpirito will get us underway, but obviously, Michael, a lot of drivers here tonight going to be racing with heavy hearts, and people don't necessarily think that people can separate the virtual from the reality, but a lot of times it all intertwines.
Virtual reality. That was a nice segue. But yes, I completely agree. It's always devastating to hear of a loss of a friend and fellow racer, and you're wanting to run out there and run in his honor. It'd be for any one of these drivers to get a victory tonight would be just perfect for Wiley. And Seth, when you first told me, what is it that I told you I did in his honor?
You ended up watching some Wile E. Coyote cartoons.
Exactly. So we're gonna miss you, Wiley, and this drink that I'm drinking, this Coca-Cola, is for you, buddy.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. The post that was put out today for the race post, Josh Metallic actually enclosing the obituary for Wiley as well. Yeah, obviously we've covered RTG for a number of seasons. We know the name. I never really got to know the man on a scale that a lot of other people did. I mean, Brian Schilling ended up talking about the fact that he and Tim and Wiley used to play Call of Duty together and everything. There were bonds of friendship that were formed and whatnot, but even though we're up here in the commentators booth and may not necessarily know the individuals personally, seeing them out on the racetrack week after week after week, you start to have a bit of a relationship from them, from commentator to driver. And so, we had the same deal, kind of the gut punch when we didn't see Robbie Nices on the track, and it's going to take a while to get used to not having Wiley Coat on the track as well. A lot of people there in our chat giving the rest in peace there, the tribute to Wiley Coat, Chris Elliott, Grant Wesley, Rodney Sullins, Benjamin Snyder as well. Pretty cool there. And yes, the number 5 has actually officially been retired in the annals of Rolling Thunder Gaming. So pretty cool there in tribute to Wiley.
You know that I like to give special nicknames to these drivers, and Wiley Coat, I always, even talking about him, used to call him Wiley Coyote.
Yeah. I honestly can tell you, the first time we started doing broadcasts for RTG, when you'd see the name, instinctually you wanted to call him Wiley Coyote. It took me a while to actually call him Wiley Coat, because you look at the similarities of Coyote and Coat.
Your brain just makes
natural.
the connection.
Yep.
So, Seth, something I've noticed early on here, as we're getting ready for the silent lap, I want to say real quick. Single file line broke out in the very early part of this race. I mean, you've got an outside line, but it's just not really making progress.
Yeah, Joe DeSpirito getting the pole, has led the first 4 laps. We're going to be silent here for laps 5 and 6, couple of numbers that Wiley Coat ran during his RTG career. DeSpirito, Causey, Garrett, your top 3 crossing the start-finish line here as lap 7 goes on the board. We got Rodney Sullins in our chat here tonight, not on the racetrack. Learned that he's going to be at his mother-in-law's funeral this weekend, so sending out thoughts to you, Rodney, and your family there as well. Whipped up as quickly as I could a tribute pace car for Wiley here tonight, but hoping to have you back on the track and you can make an official one here that we'll be able to show on the broadcast here for the next weeks following.
I don't know if this happens to you a lot, Seth, but I have a little birdie that's just constantly singing in my ear right now.
As long as they don't sing that we're not talking about Bruno, because that bird died last week when it did that. Top, looks like,
nope.
what, 10, 11 single file here?
Show Me the Way to Go Home. That's the song I'm hearing.
Okay. The question is, what is home in this scenario? Is it the garage?
Oh,
is it
somebody just blinked, I think.
might have been the 712, Bob Seminara. Yep.
Oh yeah, looks a little bit like he's a little twitchy.
Ended up hearing that he was hoping this was going to be the last week he was going to have to deal with this. And then, whoa, what's happening back here?
There's a big thing going on back here.
We just
big
went 4 or 5 wide, and somehow we are good. I don't know if that was in regards to what was going on with the 712 or if it was something else, but whatever it was, they settled it out, and we're still all pointing in the right direction.
It was
So nice saves there. Nice job, everybody giving room.
Oh yeah, the 72 of Jim Glaude. He got a bump in the wrong part of the track and got turned onto the apron and saved it.
Wow. And we had a few other drivers go down to the apron to try to avoid, but
I'll say if you want to look at that real quick, that was one heck of a save.
yeah, we'll see. Let's cut back to it. Let's see if we can
single file up at the front. Yeah, single file up at the front. Let's go back and take a look real quick.
Because that was a lot of saves, and credit as well to drivers giving space for other drivers to be able to come back up the racetrack too. Let's find that 72 of Jim Glaude. This is off of turn 4. That's Mark Pagley in the 28 behind him. Oh, wow, yeah, right in the center of the corner. Garland Oaks into the wall. John Godfrey on the bottom, down the apron. Same for Brian Lovell back there. Man. Fantastic job by everybody there to make sure that we didn't see our first caution this early on. And a number of those drivers that were in the middle of all that still recovered to still be running in decent positions. Paglia right now in 14th. Jim Glaude in 18th. Garland Oaks in 17th. So they didn't lose a whole lot in terms of track position either. And the good news as well, after all that, everybody is still in this lead pack. Nobody lost the draft because of it.
Seth, let's talk about the racing that we're seeing right now. This is very unusual that we're seeing out of these drivers. I don't know necessarily if it's the track or if it's just a different driving style that they're racing, but I'm not used to seeing these guys run single file for a long time like this.
Well, it's interesting because we were talking with some of our podium finishers last week and asked them, as we're approaching this portion of the season, are we going to see the intensity pick up? And a lot of them said they didn't think so. They thought that drivers are going to more settle into a run and get themselves prepared for green flag pit stops to kind of be the X factor into the outcome of these races. Execution. We saw this, during the playoffs last season and the season prior, where drivers would tend to do this. So I think this is a case now of you've had the 1 or 2 races to get it out of your system, go win or bust. Now it's time to sit back, observe where you are currently in the standings, in potential playoff positions, and either maintain or do what you have to do, keep the car in one piece to be able to climb the rung of the standings and get yourself into a playoff spot, whether it be via points or via a victory. I mean, if you're going to approach this as a must-win, do that when you're around 10 to go if you're in the conversation. Otherwise, I think a lot of these drivers right now, they're just points racing.
Yeah, let's see, we are looking back here again. The Bob Seminara blinking just a little bit, but Seth, we do see an outside lane forming a little bit further towards the back. We'll see if that can get any momentum.
Doug Hewlick, driver that's a former winner at this racetrack back in the early days of this track debuting on the Talladega Challenge schedule. A pit strategy call, ended up picking up his very first career win in the Talladega Challenge, and it's been a bit of a winless streak for him. I mean, that's been the running thing outside of Brian Schilling winning the season opener on fuel strategy. It's been all about snapping the winless streak. Josh Metallic, the last time we were here at BSR, he ended up snapping a winless streak of 6 months. And then, what was it? I think it was 2022, I think, was the last time that Ken Roberts went to victory lane, and he snapped that winless streak last week at Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been, 2 years and a lot of seasons.
So we could see another driver snap a winless streak here tonight. A lot of drivers are still searching for that first career win. in the Talladega Challenge Series as well. You look at drivers up here like Ulysses Sandoval, Mike Mangialardi, Greg Lovell, all run up inside of the top 10 there.
Jessica Shelton's
Opportunity for
another one
them.
who hasn't won in a while either.
Been a long winless streak for her. Same could be said for
Also,
Bob Seminara. I mean, I think you got to go back 3 or 4 seasons, the last time that Seminara's been to victory lane.
approaching a lap car.
And that's Tom Dixon, the Batmobile, the 45.
I'll tell you, the Batmobile is supposed to be one of the fastest vehicles out there. I think he might have just lost the draft pretty early.
It looks like another couple of drivers have lost the draft too, but I don't think it was in any regards to what we saw happen over in 3 and 4, that near wreck. Graham McDonald in the 33, Denny Carroll in the 41 have both lost the lead pack as well. So we got a trio of drivers that wouldn't mind seeing a caution to be able to catch back up. But for right now, everybody single file for the top 7, double file back through the rest of the field, but in a very orderly manner.
We're about 3 to 4 laps away from pit stops.
That's probably when you're going to start to see this outside line evaporate a bit. Drivers trying to find their way down to the inside line for the easier access onto pit road. We didn't have the opportunity to be able to take you through your starting lineup here tonight, getting the preliminary stuff out of the way. Of course, talking about Ron Wiley-Cote, but some big names started towards the rear of the field. Some drivers way up there in the point standings. Via the random qualifying draw, Tim Knopfsker started back in 35th, Chuck McClure in 38th, Grant Wesley in 40th, Brian Schilling back in 41st position. So we haven't necessarily seen any of those named drivers make their way up here to the front just yet. There's Knopfsker 4th on the outside line there with Grant Wesley, but right now that's scored unofficially around the 14th position.
There's somebody we haven't talked about, and he's in 10th place. Or at least he was last scored in 10th place.
Are you wanting to highlight him because he's running well, or just because it's been 17 laps and you haven't been able to say your thing yet?
Both. It's both, Seth. Absolutely both.
I figured. Bob Dixon's coming to pit road there as we're... All right, I'll throw you a bone. We're focused on the 21 of Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
There it is. But Bob Dixon hitting pit road there.
Oh, there's also a
couple of laps early. Tom Dixon as well.
There's a special reason why we have to do that.
There is. There is indeed, as a matter of fact. We ended up getting told this when we were covering Primetime Racing League's penultimate race of the season for the Friday Night Super Speedway Truck Series, that Randy Waugh's grandson loves the fact that you give him that nickname and loves it every time that you say it. As a matter of fact, talking about that, head over to Tar Nation TV tomorrow night for the season finale. Championship on the line. Oh, pit stops. Here we go. Leaders in. Oh, Gray. Wow. Garland Oaks really hot. Might have gotten into Billy Elliser. Elliser's in the grass.
No way he can really come on pit road now without getting a 30-second penalty.
Well, I think he made the commitment cone. So I think he'd be okay in that regard. I think he was to the left of the commitment cone. Oh, and now he's spinning through the grass.
Oh, I mean, there's no traction in the grass, so.
And he's going to come back up onto the track. I hope he's got enough fuel to make it back around. Let me check and see where Elliser qualified with a random qualifying draw. 16th. That'd be about midway down pit road. I don't know if he would have been past his pit stall yet or not. There's a bunch of others coming in. We're 3 wide, 4 wide coming in. Knopfsker's going to get into Hewlett, gets into Crivello, and the entire pit road is blockaded up.
Except for the 39. The 39. Metallic got away with that big time.
He was very lucky he had one of those early pit stalls.
Oh, yeah.
Knopfsker was able to continue. Our leader now is going to be Greg Lovell. He stayed out with Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
And I believe these are the last 2 that have to hit pit road. And here they come together. Be a lot more organized for the two of them than it's been for the last two formations that hit pit road.
You
And
know,
now,
I don't know if we've ever told him or not, but me personally, I would like to that 88 of Grant Wesley. I would really love to compare him to like the Dale Jr. of RTG, because he always seems to come out of nowhere a lot on these on all of these plate track races, and knows how to control the draft and run the draft just like he does, just like Dale does in real life.
well, one of the things, and I've said this before, I feel that Grant Wesley is one of the best drivers in terms of getting everything you can on pit road entry. So many times, we'll see him come to pit road somewhere around the 15th position, and he'll leave up in the middle half of the top 10. The reason being, he's able to get a huge amount of acceleration before getting to the commitment line, get it down to pit road speed, and be able to then translate that to multiple spots picked up on pit road once everything cycles around. And we talk about a winless streak. Grant Wesley would fit into that as well. It's been over a season since he's been to victory lane. I believe he's led the most laps in 2 of the previous 3 races this season. He's just not yet gotten that checkered flag. And with all the drivers you saw hitting pit road there, Michael, you had to think at some point the speeding police were going to nab somebody. They got 2 people here on this cycle. Graham McDonald in the 33, Garland Oaks in the 67.
Yeah, and there was also another fun fact that I love pointing out, because I know that it annoys her. The 88 and the 9 always seem to find each other on these racetracks.
You saying that in regards to a couple of special events?
Perhaps. Although the 9 is kind of losing this front pack here. She just doesn't really have anybody to draft with.
Might have to get formed up with this group back here with...
Oh, and if Bob Seminara keeps blinking like that, that might cause this whole front pack to lose a little bit of speed.
Had Greg Lovell, Randy Waugh. The pause was there. He didn't take it. And Jeremy Jeffries.
I did. I said Luigi.
It didn't come through. Your new mic has failed you. So Joe DeSpirito re-inherits the lead. That'll be his 19th lap out in front. Bob Seminara in second. Donnie Garrett third. Ulysses Sandoval, Mark Paglia right now, your top 5. Followed by Greg Palmer, Kelly Causey, Grant Wesley. 8 drivers in this lead pack. Jessica Shelton in 9th. Greg Lovell currently in the 10th position.
7-12. It's just side by side. I don't know if they're going to tell him, or when they'll tell him if it gets any worse that he has to at least drop to the back of this little pack here.
Yeah, I was going to mention, end up getting a message from him this afternoon. He was hoping that this was going to be the last week that he was going to be dealing with this, and unfortunately, it's going to be about another month until he'll be able to get that situation sorted out, so...
Really? What happened on that one?
Apparently Spectrum is slow.
I mean, well... I had to deal with Spectrum Internet for quite a while.
I'm on Spectrum Internet. There's Denny Carroll in the 41. He's about to go a lap down. He lost the draft very early on in this race. Right now, Billy Ellis or Garland Oaks are the first 2 drivers -1. Tom Dixon is also 1 lap down, and Graham McDonald is currently 3 laps down. As there you see Seminara stepping out of line. Looks like he's going to drop to the tail end of this pack of 8 and tuck in behind the 88 of Grant Wesley. So doesn't lose much and still stays in the lead pack. So we fall back to the second group. There's the 4 cars we saw kind of broken up, and they've gotten themselves formed together now. Shelton, Lovell, Waugh, and Jeffries. And they're going to have a lot of company here because Keith Bynum's got about a dozen drivers there with him. They're going to formulate one big pack to try and run down the top 8. Got Jim Gloud in this mix. Brian Rawson. Who, by the way, Brian Rawson did something this week that he has not done for, well, multiple seasons. Whoa, contact there between Gloud and Bynum, but Brian Rawson actually did not purposely qualify himself at the rear of the field this week. He started on the outside of the front row in second. Normally,
how would it have been purposely if he couldn't do it? If he can't even qualify?
well, no. So Rawson's strategy, and this is what got him 2 victories, back-to-back victories last season, is he'll usually leave the server before it's kicked to qualifying, guaranteeing he starts at the back of the pack. He does that all the time. He didn't do that this week, changing it up a bit. And I wonder if part of that might be because the strategy hasn't worked out for him in the first 3 races. So far, Brian Rawson finds himself in the 21st position in points. So maybe he felt it was time for a change. Shaking the strategy up just a little bit.
Oh, speaking of Tarnation TV, I'm sure that's why you mentioned them in the chat, I believe, because they're here in our chat.
Yes, he is. Appreciate everybody tuning into our coverage here tonight. Ooh, Jim Gloud moving around back there.
Second pack trying to form up, Seth. I don't know, is the middle line, that straddling that white dotted line, the very first one, it could potentially be one of the fastest ways around this track.
And for those wondering, is that second pack in any way gaining ground on the first pack? Well, last lap for Joe DeSpirito was a 47.909. Last lap for Jessica Shelton was a 47.982. So about 800s gained. They're chipping away, but not by much. And this is actually typical of super speedway racing too. A lot of people think, well, if you have more cars in your pack, you're going to be faster. But there's a lot of checkup that takes place. That stifles momentum. If you're able to get like this group here, 6, 7, 8 cars, there's a lot less checkup. There's a lot more straight line speed. And usually the smaller pack is able to actually pull away from the bigger pack. Because now they're going to catch some traffic here. Ron Hagelin.
And the more they catch traffic, the more whiff of draft they get, which means the little bit faster they'll go.
Yeah, that lead car gets a toe off of those now lap machines. That helps them and the entire line.
Joe DeSpirito just set the fastest lap of his race so far, 47.839. Fastest lap of the whole race right now is the 043 at a 47.301.
And to tell you what kind of speed they're carrying, that equates to 202.252 miles per hour. They're carrying 200 miles per hour here, these lead cars, into turn 3. So that just makes the save that we had back there in 3 and 4 beginning of this race even more exemplary in the fact they were doing that at 190, 200 miles per hour.
Look at us, Matt Rod, a boss. We could do numbers too.
Sometimes. Bob Dixon, Ron Hagelin now will latch on to the tail end of this lead group. So right now they are in the lucky dog positions. While Hagelin might actually lose this group of now 9 and have to fall back to the second group. There's Shelton still leading this pack, which currently holds, it looks like, a total of 14 lead lap cars. That last time by, Shelton and co. were actually slower than the lead group by about 7 100ths.
This group of cars does have 1.5 extra cars. So I'm looking at Bob right now. We'll see what last lap he runs. So he just ran a 47.914. That's 47.882.
So only about 300ths. It's a gain, but it's not much. Now, of course, if they're able, right now, group number 2 is running about 4 seconds behind group number 1. If they can cut that down to somewhere between 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, they might be within range of getting a little bit of draft off the tail end of this pack, and that would aid them even more. But at this point in time, Michael, as we take a look at the fact that we're approaching halfway, it might end up being the upcoming cycle of green flag pit stops where drivers from that second group will have to try and close up to this first group. With that being said, I mean, you gotta be careful not to overstep and get a black flag trying to gain the time on pit road.
Yeah, and for me, it would be a fuel-only stop. The least amount of time you're on pit road, the better.
Right. That pit stop going to be taking place in the next, I would say, well, Dixon came to pit road earlier than everybody else on, I think it was lap 17, so we'll see him on pit road somewhere in the next 4 laps. Expect everybody else on pit road somewhere
About
in the
6 to
next
7.
6 to 7, exactly.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. Joe DeSpirito has led just about every lap.
And this must be kind of a nice feeling for him back in the day when they had qualifying here for the Talladega Challenge Series. You used to have Joe DeSpirito start up on the front row numerous times, and a lot of times that was his success, qualifying at the front, stayed at the front, and would finish at the front, going to victory lane multiple times and winning the championship multiple times. Now with the random qualifying draw, Joe's had to swap up the strategy quite a bit in terms of wherever he starts in the field. Here tonight, a little bit of an old feeling there of starting up on the pole position and hoping that translates into a victory for him tonight. Joe DeSpirito actually coming into this season the defending champion of the Bracket Challenge, which starts here tonight. The top 32 drivers in points facing off here this week. It'll get whittled down to 16 drivers next week. And a number of drivers not in the field here tonight that were in that top 32, so there will be a lot of drivers moving on to the next round that didn't have somebody to battle here this evening.
Always a load off your mind, I'm sure.
I'm looking, Michael, that interval. The last time I checked in, Shelton and Co. were a total of 4 seconds back. Scoring now has them about 3.7 seconds back, so they've cut it down the last 5 laps or so by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, but it's just right before this next round of green flag pit stops, too.
Only thing they can hope is that the group here, if they all come to pit road together or if they kind of split off in halves, is that the group up ahead cannot get formed back up again when their pit stops are complete. They got to hope they get broken up, split out all the way through the field, so that way they can then take advantage. It's going to be all about quick organization for groups 1 and 2.
Couldn't tell if Ulysses was thinking about just getting air to his car or if he was thinking about maybe trying to high side.
We do have a driver out of the race. Tom Dixon, just a couple laps ago, brought the number 45 to pit road, has retired out of the race. He will finish in 39th.
What about the 33?
I was going to say, I was going to ask you to confirm, did the 33 fall out of the server and has not returned? Because I'm noticing that he's continuing to lose laps, but it's scoring him as still in the race.
Yes, he has fallen out and has not gotten back in.
So unless we end up having Graham McDonald reconnect, then Tom Dixon will actually finish 39th, and Graham McDonald will finish in 40th.
This second pack might just now start hurting itself. They're beginning to race a little bit now.
Yeah, we are.
Than saying single file.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I couldn't tell if Paglia and Palmer were trying to make a move on Sandoval there, or if they were all just kind of indicating, all right, it's time to get down here to the inside line in preparation for the pit stop.
It might be, because I think that's what the second pack is doing too. So we'll see if they're have lost any spots because of them racing back here.
All right, let's do a little mini game. Let's keep notice of where Grant Wesley is currently at now.
Denny
7th
Carroll
place.
Coming to pit road, by the way. Denny Carroll coming to pit road.
So Grant's in 7th. Let's see when the pit stop cycle is over where he is. There's the 41 on pit lane. Got a third pack back here from, looks like 26th on back. Jeff Crivello, John Godfrey, Hank Middleton. I feel like a bunch of these drivers might be back here because of that stack up we saw on pit road. Number of drivers end up having to kind of come to a stop, got spun around. I feel like that was some of those drivers that are back in this third group. Is about 8-9 drivers from the lead pack hitting pit road, including leader Joe DeSpirito.
I noticed a big mile-per-hour difference before these guys came down pit road. Coming through 3 and 4, they were hitting about 194, 193, while the second pack was at 200. So they were going to gain a lot that lap even before they were coming down pit road. Now the question is, and that second pack, when they come down pit road, do it clean and get out with enough momentum stay within it to make it a one pack again.
Exactly. Can they have the numbers leaving pit road that they had coming onto pit road? Greg Palmer, Kelly Causey, they stay out an extra lap. Palmer's coming in. Causey's coming in. Here come some others from the second pack. Jessica Shelton, Jeremy Jeffries, Keith Bynum, Mike Mangialardi, and Brian Lovell.
Jeremy Jeffries, that goldfish car.
Bunch of
Man,
drivers still electing to stay out here.
I remember when he was sponsored by, wasn't he sponsored by Busch at one point?
Yep. And then that sponsor moved over to Brian Schilling. He was sponsored by, or is sponsored by Oreos.
Oreo.
Think they would ever make Oreos where the cracker is goldfish?
No.
Like cheese
No, they would
flavored Oreo?
Nah.
Here come the rest of the lead lap cars! Oh! Nofsker and Hagelin get together. And this might bring out a yellow. Nofsker spinning back onto the track. Oh, if there's oncoming traffic, there's going to be a yellow.
Gotta get going.
Still green at this point. And there's the caution.
Yep, I think it was because Garland was approaching the car, the 088, and unfortunately,
Nofsker trying to get that car fired back up here.
Well,
I think he's currently coasting because I think that was the lap he absolutely had to pit, and he might run out of fuel having to make his way back around.
Hank Middleton's gonna come out in second place after this. Gonna keep an eye on the pace car here.
Go back and take a look at what happened here. I'm not certain if the 111 was coming to pit lane or not. But Nofsker
Nofsker is coasting.
Nofsker was like in the second lane.
Nofsker just passed the pace car. That's a good way of getting a black flag here. And I know that he has to get to pit road, but
so right there, there must have been some miscommunication. It looks like Ron Hagelin had no intent of coming to pit road. And Nofsker was out in the second lane and cuts down in front of the 111. I'm going to check real quickly here. Now, obviously, everybody is in one channel. They can verbally say if they are pitting. I'm looking real quickly, and I am not seeing in the chat the 111 saying that he's coming to pit road. So let's watch this again.
Out of fuel? I wonder if he's out of fuel now. And Tim Nofsker might be out of fuel.
So watch the 111. He sees the cars in front of him there, the 17 of Chuck McClure pitting. So he's making sure that he gives the 17 room, and then the 088 of Nofsker is up in the second group. Now, I want to go back and look here because did Nofsker not have any opportunity to get down to the inside line here in preparation for pit road? So he makes the choice right there to go around the outside of the 111. Still up in the second groove, and then I guess he was hoping the 111 would cut him a break, but you don't pit from the second lane.
Fortunately, no, you can't. We've all seen what happens.
And we saw there with Nofsker coming back out onto the racetrack slow. Garland Oaks was in the vicinity, and so race officials throw the yellow flag, the first one of the night, and that's going to jumble things up quite a bit in terms of the running order. Looks like Greg Lovell is going to inherit the race lead now as a result of the timing of that caution. Doug Hewlick will be second. Chuck McClure, Josh Metallic, and Grant Wesley are going to be the top five. Timing of this caution is interesting too, Michael, because when we go back green, it will more than likely be somewhere in the vicinity of, I'd say, probably 22, 23 laps to go. That's outside the
One more
fuel
stop.
window, but that's like, what, a half a can of fuel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry.
They'd only
But,
need to make it
yeah.
about 5 laps, and any other caution would have them be able to make it the rest of the way. As... Not sure
This
what...
is the first caution of the race, too, by the way.
This is. I'm not sure what the 8's doing.
Dog? Or he's just coming to pit road. Coming to pit road.
Shut McClure making the dive there as well.
Last minute top off.
Not certain who the lucky dog is. This happened right in the middle of green flag pit stops. I guess we'll just wait and see who ends up pulling up alongside of the pace car. Race officials will have to figure that one out. But Greg Lovell there behind the Wiley Coat Tribute pace car. And he'll be on the front row with Doug Hewlick when we resume. Lights still on. So we'll have at least 2 more laps of pacing. As it looks like Jason Scheck came down pit lane and he has made the left-hand turn to the garage. So Jason will get credited for 38th place position here tonight.
Under our first caution, Seth, I feel like this would be a great time to take a very quick break.
Okay, so we will step aside for just a moment, let them figure out who is where, who the lucky dog drivers are, and get them geared up for the remainder of this race. Only working our first caution of the evening, Greg Lovell, your current leader, as we head into an FRN race break. Lights out atop the pace car, getting ready to go back green flag racing with what will be 23 laps to go. Michael saw during that race break a lot of drivers throwing in the clutch, hoping that they can maybe save enough. We don't have them projected being able to make it the rest of the way. However, we do have to bear in mind that we could see the final 3-4 laps of this race end under caution with that point of no return, and then maybe they'd have a drop left to be able to make it around. So,
or we could just watch the 4-car limp around at 100 miles an hour.
we could do that too. Yeah. May end up seeing another great fuel strategy race like we saw in the season opener at Talladega Superspeedway with Brian Schilling finding the reserve tank there to have just enough fuel to get to the end.
Remember when he said to watch where the 88 car was for pit stops? Look at
Yep.
him. Look at where he's at now.
Up in 4th place. Now, we didn't obviously get to have the cycle of green flag pit stops there, so we're not exactly certain where he would have cycled around to had the 880 23 had to come to pit road under green flag conditions. But yeah, gained track position though, even with the timing of that yellow, as green flag set to fly once again here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Lovell, Hewlick, Metallic Wesley, and Jeffrey Elliott, your top
Hewlick.
5.
I'm not going to lie and say that Hewlick Metallic sounds like a metal.
Hewlick Metallic, yeah, it does.
We'll see how long it takes
HM on the periodic table.
We'll see how long it takes Despirito to see if he can't try to find his way back up to the front.
Yeah, Spirito's led 33 laps so far tonight, restarted back in the 10th position. Kelly Causey, who was his wingman for a good portion of that second run between the first and second round of green flag pit stops, restarted in 9th. You saw also during our FRN race break, Bob Dixon and Billy Elliser were the recipients of the free passes, so we will have a total of 36 drivers on the lead lap of 37 drivers running. Denny Carroll is the only driver right now that is off the lead lap. 3 drivers back in the garage area: Jason Scheck, Tom Dixon, and Graham McDonald.
Look at that outside lane.
Hewlick with a big push from Grant Wesley. I'm seeing the third line foreman further back there, led by Chuck McClure. We saw in the early going of this race, Michael, you were kind of taken aback by the fact we were single file up amongst most of the top 10.
Used to seeing it.
I don't think we're going to see that for the rest of this race now. I think it's go time.
Well, yeah, I mean, these cars, as far as we know, still have to make at least one more pit stop. So they're just racing to see it. This is the point where, for me, I would start trying to make my way to the front. Because even if I do have to pit again, I would rather pit from the front than from the back.
So you wouldn't go to the back of the pack and try and save some fuel here to maybe try and make it the rest of the way?
Oh no! Right now my strategy would be right now my strategy would be go to the front and either bank on a caution or bank on pitting.
The 99 up there on the top side, that's Doug Woolley, former series champion. We talked about the winless streaks that have been snapped the last 2 weeks. Man, it's a long winless streak for this driver, as he's going to lead Ulysses Sandoval and company in the high line. We're going 3 wide for the top position heading into turn number 1. Business is picking up here at BSR.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Greg Lovell's liking it in his rearview mirror. But watch the run that car gets off the corner. I wouldn't be surprised to see Greg just dive up to the outside lane.
We see this a lot, too. When that third line forms, it kind of stifles the momentum of the middle line. You see Hewlick, Wesley, Brian Lovell in the second lane going the wrong way.
Outside lane has kind of stifled out just a little bit. They got to get more cars clear of that middle lane.
This has been one of the kind of greatest mysteries of this racetrack, of why when that third line forms up, does it kind of stall out both the second and third groove and give the advantage to the inside line. We see it a lot here at this racetrack. It's happening here again, and it is playing to the benefit of all the drivers against that dotted yellow line, or as our buddy Nick Gunther would call it, the blinking yellow line. Lovell, Metallic, Elliott, Mangialardi, Causey, your top 5 down the back straightaway. How about Mike Mangialardi? He's been up in the top 10 good portion of this race. He, whoa, gets the apron right there. He qualified 11th via the random qualifying draw. Was up in the top 10 for most of the first run. Lost some ground, was back in the second group during the second run. And now back up here again at the front in that 029. You talk about a driver that could really shake up the playoff standings. 38th in points coming into tonight, but if he gets a win, he's just got to get himself into the top 20 in points at the end of the regular season, and he's into the postseason to battle for a championship.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got him up there, and also let's not talk about the guy in third place as Bob Seminara goes way to the outside. Looks like he's going to try to drop back here. But don't see him at the front very often, but here he is right now. Jeffrey Elliott, 56 car. Third place, got a good strategy off of pit road with that caution now. He's running right in the inside lane in third place, right behind Josh Metallic.
That's another driver that could upset the apple cart in terms of the playoffs as well. 37th in points coming into tonight. So, a couple of drivers that are down there in the point stands. All it takes is a win, and your season can get turned around.
17 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line. I don't know, man. Even if this race doesn't end under yellow, and they have to come down pit road, I mean, what's it going to be? No tires and a half can?
It has to be a half can, I would
end?
think. We had them projected 4 to 5 laps short on fuel. So yeah, that's right in half can territory.
What if you got a group of you to come in, say 10 laps from now, come in with like 6 to go?
Take on a can of fuel instead?
Not even that. Yeah, come in, get enough gas, go out, get a group of you going, while everyone else would have to come in. You could possibly make up that time. If you do it correctly, I guess.
It's an interesting thought because we've already seen a number of drivers have difficulty on pit road on both of our rounds of green flag pit stops. To your point, I think you'd almost be insured to still stay on the lead lap if you got the right number of drivers to come down with you and get organized when you leave pit road. So you'd still be on the tail end of the lead lap. And if drivers end up having issues, if it is indeed going to be a gas and go with a half can for most of these drivers, that's going to be a lot of congestion of drivers coming into their pit stalls and leaving their pit stalls. So, maybe not necessarily if I'm at the front of the field, but if I'm mid-pack to rear of the field, I like that call. I like that strategy. Do something a little different.
See, I could be a crew chief sometimes. I crew chiefed you to a victory.
You did, even though you were about 2 laps behind watching my stream at the time, but hey.
Hey, 2 laps behind was nothing compared to getting you the win. That was back before your stream lagged that much.
That's true.
Watching that, I was probably like maybe half a straightaway behind.
Well, if you'd been watching on Twitch, if I had been on Twitch at the time, it probably wouldn't have been that much delay. From what I understand, I think it's only like 2 or 3 seconds difference from actual live to what you see on Twitch. YouTube has like a 30-second delay or something.
Twitch depends on your connection, I believe, as well.
That's true. That is true.
Your streaming software connection, I guess.
How about that 00 Prestone machine on the top side? Kelly Causey, Buckshot. He's got a contingency behind him with Ulysses Sandoval, Mark Paglia, Doug Hulick. There's no third line to stifle the momentum, and they have a big run down the back straightaway, side by side for 4th. Causey now trying to get alongside of Jeffrey Elliott for 3rd. If anybody adheres to the strategy you're talking about, Michael, we're going to see hands out the window in the next 3 laps. Otherwise, we're going to see everybody on pit road somewhere around. Oh, no! At the very front of the field, and the big one has struck. Sandoval up into the air, several cars flipping as turns 1 and 2 are littered with the entire field.
What just happened?
I don't know. Was it bumper grab? Was it lag? I don't know. All of a sudden, just in a split second, the 880 and the 39 were spinning into the outside wall. And look at the smoke billowing out of the second corner. Sandoval's done. Middleton's done. Causey's done.
My game just crashed. I'm done.
The wreck was so violent, it crashed your game. Novsker's got a lot of damage.
Let me know when I fall out.
I can't.
Oh, darn it.
You're just gonna have to guess. Who got through? Garrett got through, Elliott got through, Jeffries,
Elliott got through.
Schilling, DeSpirito, I guess. There's the guy who was leading at the time. Greg Lovell, and that car is toast. Metallic's out of the race. Hewlett's out of the race.
I no longer can go back and look at the wreck.
Well, we'll go back and take a look here.
That was absolutely incredible.
My
I
goodness.
don't know what happened.
That was just like from out of nowhere. That was so unexpected.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if you'd want to go back and look, because there's a good chance that could crash your game like it did mine.
Well, it survived live, so we'll run the risk. We're going to show different angles here, but we're going to go to the chopper cam first, just to see.
There's so much smoke on the racetrack, it looked like the pace car was smoking.
Did bumper grab come into play here? Was that what happened? Let's see.
Cow.
Oh, wait.
Did he run out of gas or engine blow?
Something happened. He slowed. Something happened to the 880. He slowed, and it completely accordioned everybody else behind him there.
And you can't bring up his telemetry either.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
well, we don't have like exact telemetry.
Maybe his engine blew or something, like our mechanical issue.
Or did he tab out? And does that? I think if you tab out, that will slow the car. Let's look at it again here. I'm going to keep an eye as well on his speed and his gearing. Now, it's not going to show us the exact gear he's in. Unfortunately, the spectator side of NR doesn't show us exactly what gear they're in, but right there, when Metallic's into the back of him, the car drops from 198 to 190.
There's a lot of different things that could have happened.
Yeah.
Like you said, he could have, something mechanical could have broken his car. His game could have alt-tabbed out. I don't, or maybe, you know, it also could have been something with his setup, his gaming setup as well.
Yeah, could have had to disconnect with his pedals.
Yeah.
Here's another look. There you see them stacking up there. Metallic back into Elliott, back up into Lovell. And just take a look at this. I mean, there's so much happening, you can't call it all. Cars up and over. Several drivers got airborne. Sandoval caught a lot of air there going into turn one. And two things with that wreck. A driver's nightmare. Number one, it happened right at the very front of the field. Number two, it happened entering a corner. It is so difficult to figure out where cars are going to be when you come up on the wreck when it's in the corner, because cars will slide up to the wall and they will slide down the banking to the apron. And a lot of times, there's not a lane available for you to be able to avoid. And that's why we saw so many drivers get collected.
This would be the perfect opportunity for Cody Lamas to come in and give us his tips on wreck avoidance.
We've had some big ones this season. This, I think, is the huge one.
No, it's not even the huge one. That's the massive one.
Yeah. There were about maybe, I probably could have counted on two hands only the number of drivers that got through that.
I agree with Blaine, Foundation TV, that out of every race I've broadcasted and every race I've been a part of, that had to have been the biggest wreck I've seen, with 98% of the field. At least, even if it was just a slight bump.
I've been in races where there have been big wrecks. I participated in races that there have been big wrecks, and it has crashed my game. This is the first time with what happened to you that I've ever had a wreck be so violent and have so many cars that it has crashed a spectator's game.
Was just told by a little birdie in my ear that it was possible. His reasoning is that he did tab out.
And a couple of the cars that we had leave the scene of the accident smoking, Michael, are still running. Sandoval's 96 is still running. Billy Ellister's 26 is still running. They're no longer smoking, so they're going to be off the pace. There's no doubt about that. But they're going to try and at least salvage something. Our official list of drivers out after that one, and I can't believe it's not longer than this. Kelly Causey, Greg Lovell, Josh Metallic, Doug Hewlett. That's it. 4 drivers out of the race after everything we saw. I know it's moderate damage, but we had 6 to 8 drivers leaving the scene smoking. And somehow, Only 4 retirees at this point in time.
Oh, the rest of them are just going to be limping. Sid.
Yeah.
This restart is going to tell you who's up to speed.
And what about the drivers involved that we don't know if they're going to be up to speed or not? I mean, as we said, practically the whole field was involved in that in some way, shape, or form. We saw the drivers that were smoking. We saw some drivers with some pretty extensive damage. But there's other drivers that were swept up in it that may have gotten very minimal damage, maybe even no damage, may have just spun with no contact with any other driver. We're going to have to find out who they are once we get up to speed. And this takes fuel strategy completely out of the equation now. Everybody came to pit road. They are good to make it the rest of the way. And up at the front, Bob Seminara.
All the wrecked cars probably can make it the rest of the way and plus up fuel.
Hey, Michael, you remember when Seminara was running like 3rd or 4th and was warping and ducked to the back of the field?
I think he knew something.
That worked in his favor. He's now the race leader.
But look who's also on the front row.
Joe DeSpirito, who's led the most laps so far tonight, 33 circuits out in front. Donnie Garrett, Jeremy Jeffries up here in row 2. There is back-end damage on the Brian Schilling machine, but he's in the 5th position, I'm sorry. Bobby Farrell in 6th.
Back-end damage doesn't always mean gonna be
That's true.
slow.
That is true. Could be just cosmetic.
I still don't believe how only 4 people retired.
I'm shocked. We had some wave-around cars there. Looked like Billy Elliser, Bob Dixon, Terry Bombard, Denny Carroll. I think 2 of those drivers were Lucky Dog drivers. And then 2 drivers elected to take the wave around. I think Bombard and Carroll might have been the wave around drivers.
All right, Seth, we're coming to a green flag. We have less than 10 laps to go. Who are you putting your money on?
I'm with Blaine. I'm putting it on the pace car. He's got the cleanest looking car in the field.
Nope, there's no getting out of it. You have to pick the driver that's at the pace car. Where are you going to jinx tonight?
If I'm going based off of history, we're at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Give me the Goldfish car. I can't help but remember back a few seasons ago when Jeremy Jeffries won 3 races in a row at this venue.
So does that mean when he blows up on with 2 to go, I'm gonna let him know that it was you that said he was gonna win?
That means they left the Goldfish in the oven way too long. The way they'll line up here for this restart: Seminara, DeSpirito the front row, Garrett Jeffries row 2, row 3 Schilling Farrell, row 4 Brian Lovell, Jeffrey Elliott, and then Jeff Crivello and Doug Woolley. That is your top 10. 32 drivers on the lead lap of 33 running, and it's going to be a total of 8 laps to go to finish out tonight's race at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Time to find out the fallout of, what'd you coin it, the massive one over in 1 and 2.
Oh, I didn't coin that. I believe it was Blaine that did. Keep an eye on that 24, Joe DeSpirito.
You see Jason Scheck, I'm sorry, make that Hank Middleton back there.
In practice.
Sandoval back there.
Both of these guys in the top 2 were bullying me in practice.
They were. You see, when you bully Michael in practice, good things happen. They made a Michael sandwich.
And then I tried to get out of it, and they somehow.
And I totally wasn't cheering them on. Third line foreman back there. Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Grant Wesley. Doug Woolley jumps up there. Jessica Shelton's up there. Who else? Keith Bynum. Jeffrey Elliott. Trying to make something happen because we do have a lap machine in Ulysses Sandoval, so point of no return, if a caution came out after lap 62, would end the race under yellow. So these drivers mid-pack, they got to go.
Someone tell Ulysses to give up.
That would only extend it to lap 63.
Fair, but that's still an extra lap.
Mike Mangialardi also off the pace after being involved in the wreck. I know he was upside down.
Back-end damage doesn't always mean slow. The 4 car's still able to hold it on the inside.
Sometimes all you need is someone behind to help push. Right now, that'd be Brian Lovell for the Busch Beer number 4 car. There you see that back-end damage. Third on that inside line. Here comes Bobby Farrell with a big push on the top side. That petty blue car.
Yes, but we know how the outside lane dies out as you see them still trying to cut down low.
Doug Woolley tucking in between Grant Wesley and Jeffrey Elliott. That third line starting to evaporate a bit.
One thing we know for sure, I don't think we're going to see the 4 make a move unless he knows he has momentum.
Right.
With that damage, he's possibly not going to be the fastest to lead a pack. So he might just be stuck kind of just hoping for a top 3 at this point.
And with running in line right now, he doesn't know if that damage would affect him to be able to make a move. So to your point, might be a little nervous to step out there.
That outside lane, unfortunately, just isn't going to go anywhere right now.
Bob Seminara continuing to lead lap 62 on the board. So at this point on, we'll give the usual disclaimer. If trouble breaks out, we're staying with the leaders. We're showing the race back to the caution because it would be the proverbial checkered flag to end this race. If necessary, we look back at any replays during the final pacing laps or post-race. But we are in the point of no return as it is Seminara, Donnie Garrett, Brian Schilling, your top 3.
The 36 car coming into play as well.
Great run for Jeff Crivello late in this one. A lot of drivers. It's been a long time since they've gone to victory lane. Jeffrey Elliott around.
If you can keep it down there, we'd be fine.
Like you think he did. Hits the inside wall. No caution. We stay green. It's off the racing surface. Elliott was running back in, I believe, the 10th, 11th position at the time.
Donnie Garrett poked his nose to the outside. Seth, I don't know about you, but right now I would think about making a move. After hearing.
And now you're gonna want it because Paglia's into the wall mid-pack. Caution's gonna fly. Only 2 corners and the tri-oval to make a move here. Seminara gonna try and make his bumper as wide as possible. Garrett shades the Miller High Life car up to the outside line. Here he comes. Does he have help? Here comes Crivello in the 36. Can Garrett get the push through the tri-oval? Only to the right rear. Crivello fans out 3 wide. Seminara's going to get it at the line. 3 laps to go. Might as well be the checkers.
And
Seminara
got 3rd place.
Seminara, provided that engine stays intact under these final pacing laps, he's going to finally get back to victory lane, and he's going to force me to have to go back and look through the record books again of another driver that's been on a winless streak in the last time they've been to victory lane. 3 straight weeks that a driver snaps a winless streak here in the Talladega Challenge Series.
And look who got 3rd place. Damaged car and all.
The points leader coming into this week already got the victory in the season opener, is gunning for those extra 15 bonus points for the regular season championship, sticking it out with a damaged race car podium for Brian Schilling. Look at some of the drivers up here inside of the top 10 as well. Jeff Crivello, best finish of the season for him in 4th. Doug Woolley, great run for the former champ in 5th. Chuck McClure, I feel like outside of talking about his poor qualifying effort via the random qualifying draw, we haven't mentioned his name much today, and he's going to get a 6th place finish here tonight. Jeffries, DeSpirito, Brian Lovell, Grant Wesley going to be your top 10.
You know,
well, are they? Grant's coming to pit road. Oh, I wonder did he cause the wreck?
With Jeffrey Elliott?
Either with Jeffrey Elliott or the race ending yellow. Yeah, that's a good point, too. Might have ended up getting into Jeffrey Elliott and is serving the EOL now rather than getting the post-race penalty. We'll go back here. We've got time. We'll look at the Jeffrey Elliott incident as well as the race-ending caution on the back straightaway. We got to take you back first to turn 4 for the incident involving the 56.
Yeah, I just heard that Grant, I believe, is doing this to take the penalty for the 56, even though it may have been bumper grab.
He is the driver behind the 56 is Grant. Jeffrey trying to save it, and no, he never hit the wall. I thought he might make a little tap with the right front, but he never made contact with the wall. Nice piece of driving there, but unfortunately he did retire out of the race.
Yeah, that was just a little bit of bumper grab, but you can see how just unstable some of the cars were, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I mean I know he did it for safety, but I don't know really if I would call that necessarily on him. I mean, you're racing, so I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Seth, from an admin point of view?
I have to look at it from the chopper cam here. We just looked at it from another view. Let me look at it from the chopper cam before I have an opinion on it. I mean, we're definitely pushing because it's the last couple of laps.
But did you
So
see just how unstable all of the cars were, though? Unless that's just your specific stream. It seemed like the cars were just a little on the unstable side, like servo-wise unstable.
yeah, I don't. That might be just on my end there with the broadcast. It's tight, obviously. There wasn't a whole lot of room between bumpers through the corner. I don't know. I honestly, that's driver discretion, and I'm glad I'm not the one that has to make that call. Let's go back now and see if we can find out what happened to actually end this race under yellow. Mark Paglia in the 28 involved in this one. This was off of turn 2.
I'm not Benjamin. I'm actually not entirely sure who edits these tracks, but that's not really a bad idea. Be a great little tribute area too.
Little contact there for Paglia. Bob Dixon involved. Greg Palmer, Jim Glaude collected up as well. Brian Rawson. It almost looked like maybe Mark was trying to clear himself up the racetrack. I don't know if he got a little bit of contact from behind from John Godfrey or not. Let's get another look.
Fortunately, the 21 of Randy Waluigi just really was there. He just came up into him.
Yeah, there was no contact from behind from the 7-Eleven.
Wood Studios is in our chat as well.
That'd be Brian Wolf. How you doing, Brian? So, about a half dozen drivers involved in this one. Glaude, Palmer, Paglia.
Yeah, you can see it in the replay. I'm watching the stream, and it's he just kind of cleared himself.
So caution comes out for the final time tonight, our third yellow flag of the evening. White flag was just displayed over the hood of one Bob Seminara.
And Seth, while they're running down the backstretch, look at our chat. I don't actually believe that Benjamin Snyder's idea is bad. Like, for those who create these tracks, or if there's anybody that we know that can.
Rapper with the retired numbers in pit road of Talladega and Burt Screwdriver's Raceway. I know that at least for Burt Screwdriver's Raceway, I can't remember for Talladega or not, they have the tribute decals in the infield. And who knows, there may end up being a point where they end up putting tribute decals in there for Robbie and for Wiley.
Oh, great. So that means I have to re-download the racetrack?
Well, this is version 3. So there have been 2 other versions.
Well, here they come. Top 3 at 70 miles per hour through the tri-oval for the final time.
Jim Glaude, Jeffrey Elliott will not reach the conclusion. We'll have 31 drivers under power crossing the line here, but another long winless streak snapped. Bob Seminara, overcoming the internet gremlins here tonight, is going to pick up the victory in race number 4. He will lock himself into the playoffs this season for season 63.
Gonna wreck him.
Well, by all rights, based off of practice, you should get out there and wreck him.
Yeah, right?
There we go. Just did the deed.
Oh, and then run.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Well, the car was clean. Bob Seminara came into this race.
I can't wait to ask
8th
him
in points.
Why he felt like bullying me in practice was his key to victory. I haven't asked questions.
Wait, hold on, Michael. You ever heard? Maybe you haven't. Maybe I'm just old. But have you ever heard that you actually can get good luck from rubbing a redhead?
Are you trying to say I'm
no,
not redheaded, though?
No. Maybe there's something that you get good luck if you rub a commentator's race car in practice.
Yeah, usually it's a blown engine.
That's not good luck, sir.
It is to some people.
Seminara going to bring it out of turn 4 here. Becomes the 4th different winner on the season. As mentioned, 8th in overall points, so that is an automatic lock into the playoffs.
I think this is the first time we've finished a race under yellow in a while too. The last couple of weeks has been under green.
Yeah. We've had maybe wrecks coming to the checkered flag.
No, Seth, say it right. Yeah.
But we've had wrecks maybe coming to the checkered flag, but we've at least made it around to the white
This track
to
is so gripped up.
finish the race under power.
This track is so gripped up. That was his burnout. It was just a circle.
Well, his car is dead. Just murdered his car over in turn 1.
That was it. That's all.
That's it. But wait, that's it.
I'm gonna let you handle questions, but I do have one question for Bob when we get to him.
Here's a look at your finishing results here this evening. Seminara, Donnie Garrett, Brian Schilling, your podium finishers. We'll be talking to them in just a few moments. Jeff Crivello and Doug Woolley with top 5s here tonight. Crivello came into this race 19th in the standings, so he is starting to make his way up towards that top 12 in overall points. Keep an eye on that 36 down this home stretch of the regular season. McClure, Jeffries, Despiritos, and former champs 6th through 8th. Brian Lovell, who had the fastest lap of the race tonight, 9th. Jessica Shelton will finish in 10th after Grant Wesley served that EOL. Cy Jones, great run for the 7 tonight. Another driver we really didn't talk about this evening. Survived the chaos of that big wreck. He'll finish 11th. Keith Bynum in 12th. Garland Oaks overcomes a pit road speeding penalty back in the first cycle of pit stops to get 13th. Ron Hagel in 14th. Bobby Farrow was 15th, followed by John Godfrey, Bernie Mobbs, Denny Carroll, Billy Elliser, and Tim Knopfsker. The top 20. Glenn Harris in 21st. Terry Bombard, 22nd. Bob Dixon, 23rd. Randy Waugh in 24th, 25th, Brian Rawson. Rest of your top 30 were Greg Palmer, Mike Mangialardi, Hank Middleton, Grant Wesley, and Mark Paglia. Those were your drivers on the lead lap. Ulysses Sandoval, very much so off the pace after the airborne ride in turn 1 in that big one for our second caution. Finishes under power, but in 31st. The rest of these drivers did not reach the conclusion. Jim Glaude, Jeffrey Elliott, Kelly Causey, Greg Lovell, Josh Metallic, Doug Kulik, Jason Scheck, Tom Dixon, and Graham McDonald. Well, it was a shakeup on the racetrack at the timing of that big wreck over in 1 and 2, and there will be, I think, a subsequent shakeup in the point standings heading into next week. Also, that big wreck, I think, may have made for some upsets in the bracket challenges first round here tonight as well. We'll have to see who moves on and who will fall down to the loser side of the bracket, with still a shot to be able to battle for the overall championship at the end of the season, but they've got a little bit harder of a road to be able to get there. As we head into our FRN post-race wind down, it's time to dial up our podium finishers, and let's see if we can get a hold of the driver that came in tonight the points leader, will leave the points leader even though he had a damaged race car in the closing stages. Let's get a hold of Brian Schilling.
User was moved.
Hey, Brian, Michael is set up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yep.
All right, well, we had a lot of question marks on drivers involved in that big wreck. How up to speed were they going to be? How bad was the damage? Some drivers, it was visible damage, including your number 4. We saw the buckle there on the back end, the pushed-in back bumper there. Little dent in the Busch beer can, but this thing still had speed, able to bring it home in the podium finish. But on that restart, how worried were you that that thing was going to be able to stay up there at the front?
Very worried. Because actually ended up I got hit on pit road, by car pitting, lost control. So I fixed the damage and I started in the back, and I struggled to even stay in the draft. So I knew I just had to keep it pinned and hope I was getting good pushes from behind.
So Michael brought up the question with that damage. Were you just committed to the bottom? Weren't planning on making any moves there? Didn't feel like you had the car to be able to make moves? Just try and stay in the draft as best you could, salvage what kind of a finish you'd be able to?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this was obviously a tale of two races. We go back to the first half of this race. Things got very organized out, single file in the early going. We ended up having nearly 2 rounds of green flag pit stops. Then fast forward to the moment there going into turn 1, the wreck at the very front of the field into the corner, and maybe a half dozen drivers were able to get through. I mean, how difficult is it to kind of switch gears there in terms of um, the strategy of the race when something like that happens, because it took us by surprise up here in the booth. I can only imagine how it took you drivers by surprise.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did some lawn mowing and avoiding that one, and then the plan was to take a half a can. So I had topped off because I didn't have anything to lose because the car was just not fast. So it ended up working okay, missing the wreck and then having a quick pit stop that kept me up to the front.
Well, salvaging what you could here tonight. Solid points evening despite the damaged race car. Podium finish. Going to keep the points lead here heading into the second half of this regular season. Looking for that regular season championship as well at the conclusion in preparation for the playoffs. Congratulations on the job well done. Before I let you go, floor is yours for thank yous and sponsors and shoutouts.
All right. Congratulations to Bob Sonera on his win. Thank you to the Dixon brothers, Mark Paglia, Ultimate Garage Floors, Race LM. And I just want to say Wiley was a really good friend of mine. I'm going to miss him a ton. I spent a lot of days, a lot of Sunday mornings, playing stuff besides NASCAR. Just such a good guy, such a huge loss for us. And, I just, it's going to hurt for a long time. So.
Obviously, we knew tonight was going to be a tough one for a lot of drivers this evening. Obviously, we've been doing the best we could here tonight in his memory as well. Remembering Wiley. Brian, congratulations on the great run here. Best of luck here for the remainder of this regular season and continued success here in the final 4 races before the playoffs begin.
Thank you.
Brian Schilling bringing it home in
User
third
was moved
place.
out of your channel.
Let's see if we can dial up the driver that brought it home second place here tonight. Tried to make that move there on the final lap, just couldn't quite get the momentum through the tri-oval. Let's get a hold of our runner-up finisher, Donnie Garrett.
User was moved to your
Hey, Donnie,
channel.
Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I got you guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Looked like here this evening you were the pusher. You were helping the 24 in the early going of this race, behind the 712 there in the closing stages of this race. Looked like you timed that move out of turn 4 really well. Might have had a little bit of help there from the 36. What little more did you need, though, to be able to get Bob at the line?
I needed Schilling not to be damaged. I mean, I think he was damaged. I didn't realize that, but he was bumping pretty good, but then he backed way off, and I didn't know what he was doing. But then I realized he was damaged. But all in all, good night. Like I said, I missed last week. Enjoyed watching it and chiming in all night. Basically, I was about half drunk, but I was having a good time doing that. But got back here tonight, finished second. I'd like to got one more, man. I'm 31st in points, and so I really one more position I would have been able to get myself locked in. But I'm going to miss a few more weeks, I think, for some vacations, and so it's going to be a rough season to try to make this thing happen. But we'll give it our all and keep these, like I say, top 5, top 10 on the death and see what happens and see what happens when we get to the chase. But all in all, great race tonight. Pretty somber race, actually, pretty quiet. Not a lot of talking with us. Everybody's missing Wiley tonight and just a tough week.
Yeah, perfectly understandable.
I do have one question. Donnie, what did that massive wreck look like from your perspective?
It just exploded all around me. I mean, it's like a bomb went off, and I just drove the car as hard as I could to the left, and I come out of it on the other side, and I was like, wow. I mean, I think, and then I don't think I forget who was leading, but I don't think they realized we were racing back, and I just nipped him at the line to take that lead. But that was a wake up moment. That was changed my pants on that one.
The Days of Thunder moment?
Absolutely.
We talk a lot about the point of no return in these races, and we've seen cautions come out just after you guys cross the start finish line, so you have a full lap to be able to try and strategize to make a move, and sometimes we see it just when you guys are coming around to hit the start finish line, so there's no opportunity to be able to make a move. This incident on the back straightaway there, and obviously, I'm sure you had some kind of a plan formulated if we had gotten to the white flag. The timing of this yellow flag coming out here, about half of the racetrack still to traverse. Was that enough time for you to be able to plan a move there out of turn 4, or would you have liked to have seen this go to the white flag?
Um, yeah, I like to see it going on to the white flag. But like I say, when that happens, you're prepared for it. If you've done this long enough, you know where the point of no return is, and you're anticipating that wreck because the closer we get to the end, everybody's going to start leaning on each other, 3, 4, 5 wide, and that's when things happen. So you got to be prepared to make that move at a moment's notice. And like I say, with Schilling damage behind me, I had no luck. I was going to try to back up, and that's what I did. I backed up a little bit and then tried to get a run off the corner, and then the 36 never got to me, and Schilling just kind of stayed on the bottom. Schilling would have went high to beat him. I think if Schilling would have got there behind me, I think I would have beat him, but he just stayed low, which that's probably what he should have done because of his damage. So I don't blame him for doing that. But all in all, good night for me, good points night, and that's what I'm looking for. And I like to get one of these wins. But like I said, I want to definitely dedicate the second place to Wiley tonight. And, a big part of RTG, and we're definitely going to miss him. So, Wiley, we're thinking about you, bud.
Well, we're midway through the regular season now, but even last week, drivers that got top 5s and top 10s were jumping up double digits in the standings. So, no, you wanted that one position better, but a second place, I think, is definitely going to rocket you up through the points. It'll be interesting to see where you're situated in preparation for next week. Great run, though, for you here tonight, Donnie. Congratulations on the runner-up finish. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
I just want to thank everybody here at RTG, all the admins, owners over here. We argue, fight, cuss each other. I mean, we have some knockdown dragouts over here, but man, when things happen bad, we all definitely come back together and stick together. That's why we're such a tight knit community over here in this league. And been racing here over 10, 12 years now, probably. And these guys are like family to us. And but all good night. Got to thank Miller Lite, Miller High Life for the sponsorship. And like I say, one more position, man, we'd been really been celebrating tonight. But anyway, it's a somber night, and we got second. That's good enough, and we'll move on to next week.
Donnie Garrett, runner-up finish here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, getting himself a little closer to that top 12 in the points. Going to try and get that playoff spot here down the home stretch of the regular season. Congratulations on the great run, Donnie.
Woo!
And we'll see if we can now go down
User was
to
moved out of
Victory
your
Lane.
channel.
See if we can get a hold of Bob Seminara, our 4th different winner on the season.
But it might be
User was
three,
moved to
three
Hey,
to
your
Bob,
four
Michael and
weeks.
Seth
Gotta
up
go.
here in the FRM booth. Sorry we caught you right mid-sentence. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
All right,
Michael.
so
Why
I
did
so
you
I
feel
hold
the
on,
need
Michael,
to
hold on. I'm gonna take this opportunity here to go back because I gotta look at the stats, figure out how long this winless streak has been. But Bob, I'm just telling you right now, I've seen like whenever I have Jess in the booth, I have to put the referee shirt on. Whenever Ulysses or Greg Palmer are up here, now I gotta put on the referee shirt for you and Michael. So I'm gonna let you guys have at it here.
Yeah. No, we have fun with him.
Oh yeah. Why did you feel the need to rub me and bully me in practice for your key to victory tonight?
Yeah, they got that loosened me up. Yeah, I like that. I like playing a little bit.
I told him it's like rubbing a redhead's head for good luck or something.
Yeah. Sometimes I get in trouble for doing that, but I knew with him it'd be fine.
Oh yeah, that was funny immediately.
So it's all fun and
Well-
games until you're coming around to take the checkered flag and a 998 appears from pit road, Bob.
Oh, I know. I got him good though.
What was that big wreck like from your perspective, Bob?
Well, I think I was behind it. I saw it happening, and I slowed down. Yet I got bounced around and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there was just smoke everywhere. And then I figured, well, I'm pretty much last. The only 3 guys I passed racing back were the 3 guys with blown engines, smoking. So I said, I'm going to stay on the track, even though I was 4 laps short.
Oh yeah, me and Seth talked about that. We were like, wow, he pulled out and went to the back at just the right moment.
Yeah, my head's about to explode, but yeah, I did. But on another note, I do want to dedicate this win to Wiley Coate, who we lost this week. Really respected him and all he did here at RTG. So I know the guys, it's a big loss for all of us. So I just want to acknowledge that and dedicate this win to him.
So I was able to go back and find out November 9th of 2023, the last time we saw you in Victory Lane here in the Talladega Challenge Series. I feel like a broken record these last couple of weeks. I'm going to ask the same question I asked Josh and that I asked Ken last week. you finally get that monkey off your back. You finally snap that long winless streak that was pushing 10 months, almost a year now. I mean, first off, how good does it feel to get back to victory lane? But even more so to be able to snap a winless streak that's gone back that long.
Oh, it feels great. It's not easy to win here, and it's definitely not easy when you're handicapped in the field, having to go to the back a couple of times a night. But yeah, these guys are tough. There's proven guys here. So yeah, anytime you win here, it's awesome. So yeah, and to win the way I did, yeah, it's great.
So obviously now we mentioned about the fact you came into this race top 8 in the point standings. You've got the win now to lock you into the playoffs. Still 4 regular season races left to go. So what's the strategy from this point on? I think scoring right now has you 37 points out of the overall points lead, so you're within striking distance of the regular season championship. Obviously 4 more opportunities to be able to go back to victory lane, garner some more bonus points. So now being able to maybe have a little bit more of a relaxed attitude, not having to win your way into the playoffs at this point in time, what do we expect to see out of the 7-12 in the final 4 races?
You're probably going to see the same thing. Unfortunately, there's going to be some warping in there, but I'm going to be going hard and trying to get the best finish I can. And I've never won the bracket. That's one thing that's eluded me. So I'm going to be trying to stay ahead of that. So I'm still, they know what my problem is. So I'm hoping it's going to be fixed soon. So everybody just tolerates me. I get out of the way. I haven't wrecked anybody. So we'll just keep doing that and going hard.
You talk about that bracket challenge. Can't finish any highest than first in the field here tonight, so you are moving on to the next round. We'll look forward to keeping track of that here down the remainder of the regular season, of course, into the playoffs itself. Bob, congratulations on getting back to victory lane, locking yourself into the playoffs here for season 63. Before we let you go, we're going to open up the floor to you for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
All right. Thank you, boys. UFRN, RTG owners, and all the admins. Thank you. Best place to race. All the guys and girl out here that we're running. I enjoy it. That's what I look forward to. FTMF. Shout out to Spectrum for nothing. But anyway, we got over that. Bernie's Paints, Mobs Motors, Q, and the boys that I used to work with. Giddy up.
Well, Bob Seminara, provided he's able to door Michael Norman in practice for the remainder of this regular season, we may see him back in victory lane again here before the playoffs begin. Congratulations on the victory here tonight, Bob. Go and enjoy it, and best of luck the remainder of the home stretch here in preparation for the postseason.
Thank you. See you next week.
Unknowingly started a rivalry.
User was moved
Seminara,
out of
the
your
winner
channel.
here tonight. Okay, so
I'm gonna purposely run next week.
You're going to be the cause of the big one next week, probably.
He's gonna be behind me. Oops, I tabbed out.
Whoops. He said tonight his warp hasn't wrecked anybody. He'll make sure that it wrecks you next week. But I mean, what an incredible storyline we've had here for the first 4 races of the season. The amazing fuel strategy race. I mean, we both lost our voices in the season opener. Shocked that Schilling was able to get to the start-finish line. And then back-to-back-to-back weeks where drivers with 6+ month winless streaks have been able to snap them in Metallic, Roberts, and Seminara.
Well, I mean, we did. The start of this season has been awesome. I'm not even gonna lie. And the best part was losing our voice in the first race, just basically screaming, "My pit box!"
That wasn't us that shouted that, but I'll let you have it, I guess. But I mean, I'm looking
All
now.
hail Dwayne. All hail Dwayne.
All hail
Johnson,
Dwayne
best-
Johnson, best NR racer of all
Yes, sir.
time. But I'm looking at the calculated points here heading into next week. 4 races remaining in the regular season until we put our playoff grid together. Schilling extends the points lead by 13 over Jeremy Jeffries. McClure, Wesley, now Seminara, the top 5. Metallic, Despirito, Shelton, Crivello. Remember, I mentioned the finish tonight. Keep an eye on him. He jumped up 11 spots in the standings tonight, so he's in a playoff position right now. Bernie Mobs moves into a playoff position. He's 10th. Billy Elliser sits in 11th, and Brian Lovell with the great run here tonight. The top 10 finish moves him up into a tie with Ken Roberts for 12th position. So while we're talking about the drivers, the surprises going to victory lane, snapping this winless streaks, I mean, there's some names down there that could point their way in as well. I don't want to say this is the season of the underdog, because a lot of these drivers that have gone to victory lane are former champions. A lot of these drivers that have made their way up into the top 12 have pointed their way in the top 12 before, but I guess I'll say this is the season right now of unpredictability, right? It just kind of seems like once you think you have everything figured out, we have a big wreck that takes out pretty much the entire field over in 1 and 2 and
Takes
flips
out
it all on its head.
98% of the field.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always a wait and see until the checkered flag waves, and hopefully everybody's ready for what should be a final really good 4 races here to determine our playoff grid. It's been a great first half of this regular season, and it's been a great precursor in preparation for what might be just around the corner. We appreciate everybody tuning to our coverage here tonight. Once again, we've tried to keep it as light as we can here this evening. Obviously, you heard it there, the solemnness of all the drivers that we had up here with the interviews of our podium finishers. They mentioned it. Very quiet evening in the overall chat. Very solemn moment with the passing of Wiley Coate. Everybody trying to do their best performance here tonight. I mean, this was definitely, I think, a great tribute race to him as well. Appreciate everybody in our chat here this evening, giving their well wishes and everything for Wiley Coate, his family and whatnot. This will be something I think that will run for the next few weeks. It's gonna take a while to get over this. Obviously, as we mentioned, it gets to a point where you race with people year after year, week after week, sometimes day after day. It becomes a family. It legit becomes a family. I mean, Michael, you and I, we've ended up making friendships with people, through this game that we've now met in real life on trips to different areas and everything. It actually is a close knit family, and that's the case here for RTG. And when one member's missing, it's felt all the way across the entire league, the entire series, whatever the case may be. So, obviously, from us here at FRN as well, we send our condolences to the family of Ron Wiley Coate, and we will continue to honor him during the course of this season as well. But Michael, again, as I said, great first 4 races on the season so far. Really has got me amped up and excited for what we're going to see here in the second half. And I appreciate you. I know you were under the weather here tonight, but toughing it out and joining me in the booth here tonight. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was fun to be here. I'm glad I'm here. Glad I was able to make it, and I can't wait for next week.
Once again, we appreciate everybody tuning into our coverage here tonight. Hope that you guys all enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next Thursday night for the continuation of the 63rd season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series, as we will be back at Talladega Superspeedway, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when the green flag will fly. But until then, for Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.